So it takes a minute
Okay.
to do that. You're live on Facebook. Are you ready for me to broadcast the meeting?
Thank you.
Okay, the webinar has started.
Okay. It is, good afternoon, Commissioner Roberson.
Good afternoon.
It is 5 o'clock, but I'm going to have to wait for one more for Commissioner El Hassan to join us, so we will have a quorum. There we are. Good evening, everyone, and welcome. I now call to order the meeting of the Michigan Civil Rights Commission. Today is Monday, July 27th, 2020. The time is 5 o'clock p.m., and this meeting is being held utilizing the Zoom web conferencing platform, as well as live streaming through Facebook and YouTube. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Chair Clayton,
Present.
Vice Chair Kopak, Commissioner Sakwa, Commissioner Combs, Commissioner Gasco-Bentley,
Here.
Commissioner Grimm,
Present.
Commissioner El Hassan,
Present.
and Commissioner Robeson.
Present.
We have a quorum present. The meeting will begin. And just to note, Commissioner Sakwa, Commissioner Bentley, I'm sorry, not Bentley, Commissioner Combs, and Commissioner Reyes-Kopak did let us know that they were not going to be present this evening. So good evening to everyone else again. It's hard to believe this is our first regularly scheduled meeting since January 27th. But before we begin our business, I'd like to start with a special message. On Friday, July 17th, our country lost two fearless and tireless icons of the civil rights movement. Congressman John Lewis and Reverend C.T. Vivian led the charge for change and helped secure the passage of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965. These gentlemen were part of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s inner circle, and both received the Presidential Medal of Freedom from President Barack Obama. To honor their legacy, we all must continue to peacefully protest injustice, advocate for equal justice, and in the words of Congressman Lewis, always stay in good trouble. May we please bow our heads for a moment of silence in their memory. Thank you. Now our interim executive director, Mary Engelman, will review the housekeeping rules.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Today's meeting will be recorded. All speakers must identify themselves by name first before speaking. If you require closed captioning and you are using Zoom, you can turn on captions by clicking on the CC icon in the lower right part of your screen. The Commission has already received written public comments and will only be accepting verbal public comments during the meeting. If attendees wish to speak during the public comment portion of the agenda, you must sign up to do so within the next 10 minutes by typing your name and city you reside in the chat box located at the bottom of your Zoom screen. If unable to type in a chat box, please click on the icon labeled Participants to raise and lower your hand at the lower center of the screen. When it is time for public comment, staff will call on attendees in the order in which we receive the request to speak, whether via chat or raised hand. MDCR staff will first verbally identify public comment speakers by name, and then that individual will be unmuted to speak and will be muted after their designated time frame for speaking ends. The public comment time frame for speaking will be 2 minutes. There will be a visual timer on screen showing the following colors: green for 2 minutes, yellow for 30 seconds, and red for stop. The timekeeper will verbally remind each speaker when 30 seconds remain. For attendees who are calling in by phone to provide public comment, callers must enter *9 on their mobile device to raise and lower hands. MDCR staff will identify callers who wish to speak by the last 4 digits of their phone number. Please also be aware that MDCR staff will verbally warn any speakers only once if they use inappropriate, inflammatory, or disrespectful language. If use of that language continues, the speaker will be muted. For those who are joining us live via the MDCR Facebook page or the MDCR YouTube accounts, there will be an approximate 20-second delay between the actual Zoom meeting. Individuals who wish to deliver public comments can only do so if they are attending via Zoom or by phone.
Thank you, Director Engelmann. The next agenda item is approval of the agenda. May I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion.
Motion has been made by Commissioner Bentley and seconded by Commissioner Roberson. Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
None opposed, the motion carries unanimously and the agenda is approved. The next agenda item is adoption of the consent agenda. The following items from the agenda have been identified as those that may not require commission discussion prior to being adopted or received. Items may be removed from the consent agenda on the request of any commission member. Items not removed will then be moved for adoption by general consent without debate. Removed items will be taken up later in the agenda as indicated. May I have a motion to adopt the consent agenda?
So move.
Moved by Commissioner Grimm. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner El Hassan. The motion has been made. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries unanimously. The next agenda item for approval are the minutes from the July 7th, 2020 special meeting. May I have a motion to approve the minutes as submitted?
So move.
Moved by Commissioner Grimm. May I have a second, please?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Roberson. Is there any discussion or revisions to the minutes? There being none, all in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Any opposed? None opposed, that motion carries. We are now ready for public comment. As a reminder, we'll be taking comments in the order we have received them. You will have 2 minutes to speak before the commission. However, if your comment involves a matter that is currently pending with the department, such as an open complaint or an investigation, it is inappropriate to speak about that before the commission. This is done in fairness to the parties and the process should your complaint come before the commission for a decision or order. Our timekeeper, you see the screen is there. Dan is our timekeeper. You'll see the green screen there. Do we have anyone for public comment?
Good evening, Madam Chair. This is Sean. We have Cynthia Thornton.
Ms. Thornton, you have 2 minutes.
Hello, Ms. Thornton. Can you hear
Okay,
us?
there you go. Yep, can you hear me now?
We can hear you now.
Okay. In my capacity as the union steward and as a community activist, a number of people have contacted me about the ability to be able to communicate directly with the commission. They assumed that I would have contact information. And of course, the information that I have, is my understanding, I am not free to give to the public. It's further my understanding that last year sometime the governor directed that commissions obtain Michigan.gov email addresses for just that reason, so that the public would be able to communicate directly with them. So I want to confirm that that is in process, or that it does apply to this commission, which is my understanding, and also to find out, where is the status on that? When will it be completed, so that people can contact you? They have concerns about needing to go through the department, given the current state of affairs. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Thornton. And I know I can speak for myself. I do not have a Michigan.gov email address. We will work with the department if that is something that the governor put in an executive order last week to get that in place. Any other
clarification? It wasn't last week, it was last year.
I'm sorry, last year. Commissioner Roberson, I see your hand is raised.
Chair Clayton, I think I know when I received my business cards, my Focus Hope email address is on there. Not that I'm advocating that people overwhelm me, but it's public knowledge, because the business cards I give out for the Michigan Civil Rights Commission have Portia.Roberson@FocusHope.edu.
And I appreciate that, and the people might be willing to do that, but again, it's our understanding that as a state commission, and there was conversation about state business being conducted on emails other than, and I haven't researched it deeply, but that was the crux of it. It's Michigan business, it should be on a Michigan.gov email address. But thank you for making that option available.
Any other commissioners with comment? Thank you, Ms. Thornton. Ms. Stanford, do we have any other public comment?
Madam Chair, we don't have any other public comment at this time.
Okay, thank you. The next item on the agenda is a presentation, and public comment is closed. The next item on the agenda is a presentation by Kim Woolridge, who is a State Americans with Disability Act or ADA Compliance Director. Ms. Woolridge, you have the floor.
Good evening, Commission. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak with you.
Good evening.
The Americans with Disabilities Act was enacted on July 26, 1990. The ADA prohibits discrimination against persons with disabilities in the aspects of public life, including public services, places of public education, and transportation. The ADA was the first comprehensive civil rights law providing protections for persons with disabilities in the United States. Yesterday, Sunday, July 26, 2020, marked the 30th anniversary of the enactment of the ADA. There have been and will continue to be many events nationwide and statewide to commemorate this event. The ADA Compliance Division, which sits in the Michigan Department of Civil Rights, is leading several other state departments and planning a number of virtual sessions in commemoration of the 30th anniversary. Of these sessions, the first occurred Thursday, July 23rd, 2020. This kickoff session included a recorded message from Governor Gretchen Whitmer, a recorded message from retired Senator Tom Harkin, who was one of the original sponsors of the law, and a live message from Lieutenant Governor Garland Gilchrist. There was also a panel discussion hosted by me with current and retired state of Michigan employees who graciously shared what the ADA means to them and what they would like to see for the ADA in the future. On Wednesday, the 29th of July, Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson will participate in an accessible voting session with one of our partners who's hosting other ADA events. Next week, on August 5th and 6th, the MDCR, EEOC, and the Small Business Administration of Michigan will participate in a panel discussion regarding accommodating employees during COVID-19 and returning to work. Former Lieutenant Governor Brian Calley he's current president of the Small Business Association. He will lead that panel discussion. Other sessions are available to see and to register for On the website, registration is required. Their website is www.michigan/ADA30. The website is constantly being updated with additional sessions. Sessions, participation, and comments are tracked using the hashtags #ADA30 and #MIADA30. In honor of the 30th anniversary of the ADA, Governor Whitmer issued the following proclamation, which, if the commission allows, I will now read into the record. State of Michigan Certificate of Proclamation. On behalf of the people of Michigan, I, Gretchen Whitmer, Governor of Michigan, do hereby proclaim July 26, 2020 as a day to honor the signing of the Americans with Disabilities Act. Whereas President George H.W. Bush signed into law the Americans with Disabilities ADA on July 26, 1990 to ensure the civil rights of people with disabilities. And whereas the ADA established a clear and comprehensive national mandate for the elimination of discrimination against individuals with disabilities and expanded opportunities for them by reducing barriers, changing perceptions, and increasing full participation in community and life. Whereas, according to the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, about 27% of people in Michigan have disabilities, and these rates increase by age, with 41% of Michigan adults that are 75 years or older having a disability of some kind. And whereas it is important to ensure that people with disabilities are given equal access to employment, public services, public accommodations, and telecommunications in our state. And whereas the full promise of the ADA will only be reached if we remain committed to continuing our efforts to fully implement the ADA. And whereas on this anniversary of the signing of the ADA, let us recognize the progress that has been made by reaffirming the principles of equality and inclusion and recommitting ourselves to reach full ADA compliance. Now, therefore, I, Gretchen Whitmer, Governor of Michigan, do hereby proclaim July 26, 2020 as a day to honor the 30th anniversary of the signing of the Americans with Disabilities Act in Michigan, and encourage everyone to fulfill each of our inclusion commitments as we work to make our state a welcoming and inclusive place for everyone. That is the conclusion of my presentation. If you have any questions or concerns, I am open to them. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Woolridge. Do any commissioners have any questions? No questions. Ms. Woolridge, will you just repeat the website information again in case anyone didn't get that, please?
Yep, the website, yes ma'am. The website is www.michigan.gov/ADA30. ADA30.
Thank you, and thank you so much for the presentation. I remember, I think it might have been back at our January meeting when we talked about doing this. We thought we'd be on the lawn of the Lansing Center in Lansing, so things definitely have changed. So thank you very much. In her presentation, Ms. Woolridge noted that Governor Whitmer has issued a proclamation honoring the ADA's 30th anniversary on July 26th. It has been suggested that we adopt a resolution in support of the governor's proclamation, recognizing July 26, 2020 as a day to honor the signing of the Americans with Disabilities Act, and recommitting ourselves to ensuring that persons with disabilities are provided with the same rights and access that those of us too often take for granted. Do I hear such a motion?
Zina Al-Hassan moves.
Thank you, Commissioner Al-Hassan. Is there a support for that motion, please?
Support.
Supported by Commissioner Grimm. All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any
Madam Chair, we
opposed?
need to take a voice vote.
I'm sorry, what was that, Dan?
We do need to take a voice vote.
Oh, okay. So will you please call the vote?
Chair Clayton,
Yes.
Commissioner Gasco Bentley,
Yes.
Commissioner Grimm,
Yes.
Commissioner El Hassan,
Yes.
Commissioner Roberson.
Yes.
Madam Chair, with 5 votes, the motion passes.
Thank you. That motion is carries unanimously and the motion is adopted. The next item on the agenda is a presentation by Anthony Lewis, who is the department's director for business and community affairs, and Mark Bishop, who is the department director of strategic operations and community engagement. Gentlemen, you have the floor.
Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you, Chair Clayton. My name is Anthony Lewis, and I am and I will be. I'll go first, and I serve as the director of business and community affairs for the department. And as such, I have the pleasure of serving with a great group of people that I will introduce now. And first, I have Gwen Moffitt. I'm not sure if we're going to show we're going to allow their video to show so people can actually see who they are. But first is Gwen Moffitt, who's our specialist, who's who works out of our Grand Rapids office, and she works in our Grand Rapids region. And her responsibilities are advocates and leaders in police community trust, ALPAC organizations on the west side of the state on the west side of the state, and also all of the in Grand Rapids and all of our community engagement participation in all the different community organizations and all different programming that we do on the west side of the state, namely in Grand Rapids, Benton Harbor, Kalamazoo, Battle Creek, that particular, and Holland, I believe, in that particular area. So that's Gwen Moffitt, who's like I said, who handles that particular area. Next, I have Marissa Gomez Garcia, and I'm not sure Marissa's on because I believe she is doing she's out on a program right now. But Marissa is our Hispanic Latinx liaison. She also she's out of our Lansing office, but works directly with the Hispanic Latino Commission, and also within that Hispanic Latino community. Mainly focusing right now, our main focus has been on the migrant services and the migrant community. So she's working with that. And now she's working directly with Child Task Force and doing some outreach because given the access to affordable and acceptable housing and given those types of concerns, so that's what our focus right now. That's Marissa Gomez Garcia, and also we have Charles Schroeder. And Charles is our specialist, and he is our liaison. Charles is our liaison to the Arab American community, but Charles also is liaison in our Flint, in our Detroit, also our Flint and Saginaw areas. Charles also leads our ALPACs in those particular areas, which I'll cover in a few minutes. But Charles works directly with all of our law enforcement agencies. He works directly with the community, as I said before, with the Arab American community, and is well respected and is well respected in the community, and has done an excellent job. So that's Charles. Now, and we formally, she wasn't able to be on today, but formally we have Linda Thomas, who recently retired after 40 years of state service. And but she was our liaison in our Jackson and also in our Detroit, and interacting with all the different community organizations in Detroit. At this time, I have kind of taken over those in the interim. Now, next, having introduced my team, next what I would like to do is kind of briefly go over some of the general programs that we oversee. One of those programs I spoke earlier is called ALPAC, and that's Advocates and Leaders for Police and Community Trust. And what that is basically it's an organization where we bring together local, state, and federal law enforcement agencies, along with community organizations and community leaders and community groups, and we bring them together to have difficult conversations regarding the intersection of law enforcement and their interaction with community, especially with community, but also just with the communities in general. And some of the been able to accomplish over the years, it's been in effect. Started in Detroit, and it was started as a partnership between the clergy and the U.S. Attorney's Office in the Eastern District of Michigan. The U.S. Attorney's Office, I believe it was Saul Green was the U.S. Attorney at the time, and but like I said, and a part of the clergy, and we have we have had the opportunity now to take that concept and grow that concept throughout the state. We currently have locations or regions, so to speak, where in Detroit, and Detroit is facilitated by the Michigan Roundtable for Diversity and Inclusion. So I want to make sure that that we give credit to, like I said, because they do an excellent job of facilitating in Detroit. We also have in Flint, in Saginaw, in Lansing, in Grand Rapids, Kalamazoo, Berrien County or Benton Harbor. We also have Battle Creek and Jackson, and we also have a partnership with the Muskegon Social Justice Commission out in Muskegon, where we work with them also we'll work with them in developing those same relationships and same partnerships. And currently we're in the process of reconstituting and redeveloping in our Ottawa County, in our Holland, Ottawa County area. So as you can see, our growth in this area, we have the different regions. We're working on many of the different regions throughout the state. Important because especially in the environment now that we've seen, I think that it has helped. I think our level of communication and interaction and relationships that have been built over the years, I think has been an excellent, I think it has been the reason why here in the state of Michigan, there hasn't been hasn't been a great deal of the unrest. And I think that's a testament to the relationships that have been built by our law enforcement officers and by our leadership, our law enforcement leadership and the community leadership in our different regions and throughout our state. So I think that it's one of the things that, as I said, in terms of our outpacks, that has definitely been something that we look forward to. They meet monthly in each region. So and if anyone like any information regarding regarding a meeting or with that, then please reach out and we'll get you in touch with the co-chairs for those for that particular region and get you more information about how you can become involved. The next that we work with in one of our process is working with the farm worker community, as I spoke before, and part of that is in working with our migrant seasonal farm worker community. We are currently working on another enumeration study and also we are looking at all the different ways in which we can support, because it's a civil in which we can support from our department, how we can support that community, because obviously just given the housing concerns, given the unfortunately given the racial profiling concerns that the migrant seasonal farm worker population experiences, it's very important that we maintain that relation. It's very important that we maintain that relationship. And then also, we also are involved in the what's called the Truth, Racial Healing and Transformation Enterprise. And what that is, it's a program, a partnership with the Kellogg Foundation, and that we work with the different communities here in Michigan, and working with them on also in a community building. It's based on the pillars. It's based on it's based on multiple pillars, but it's a program, as I said before, that seeks to things like narrative change and seeks for things like like law design team and all these different. As I said, you have all these different aspects of this particular enterprise that seeks to bring our communities together for better understanding. That also seeks to bring about systemic change in combating what we now understand and what we've always known is that systemic racism that plagues all of our communities throughout the country. And last but not least, one of our major pillars that we work with is our Youth Academy partnership. We have a partnership with the University of Michigan, and where we have a Civil Rights Youth Academy. And basically, we have a cohort of students each year. That we take them through a program in which we are looking at developing the next generation of civil rights leaders. And we work with them on projects within their schools. And we also work with them by extension. We've also worked with their teachers. We also now work with their teachers and educators on how to interacting with their students of color and recognizing any implicit biases that may enter into their interactions with their respective students. So as you can see, just from those four, that keeps us pretty busy, in terms of the work and throughout the state. Now, next, what I'd like to do is I'm going to transition into some of our work that we've been doing now, as it relates in the pandemic, and it relates now in this COVID-19 environment. And one of the things that's happened is we've had to change our interactions. We've had to change the way we do things. We were normally very heavily face to face, very heavily on site and doing our work on site. Well, and participating in panels and all those kinds of things. Well, now we participate, now all of us are participating in a great many panel discussions where it may be regarding law enforcement, it may be regarding heritage, regarding education and education and disparities in education, disparities in resources within the different school districts. We've been, like I said, we've been asked to participate in many different panels asking about our team's expertise areas and understanding, given that we have a statewide reach and a statewide understanding, given that we would have the opportunity to explain the knowledge and of our particular areas of responsibility. Also, we've been able to transition into doing our trainings. We've been asked to do now our training requests have increased considerably, where now we have considerable requests for training. And those trainings could consist of things like discriminatory harassment, which includes sexual harassment or harassment based on race. So we've got a great deal of diversity, equity, and inclusion training. Cultural competency training. Those are all the things, the different training resources that we offer. And we've had a great deal of increase in those requests. And we have actually successfully transitioned into now delivering those trainings via online platform like Zoom or WebEx or Skype, whatever the particular organization is looking for the training, whatever software works best for them. We have been successful now in transitioning into doing our trainings via online. We still offer, online is not conducive, and it is not conducive, or it's just not available. We still offer on-site training, but that is done obviously with the proper social distancing and the proper personal protection equipment, in effect. One such right now is Charles Schroeder, as you spoke of before. Charles Schroeder is doing annually. He does a series of trainings with the Dearborn Police Department, and given the environment and given this, Charles is doing this particular one in person. But as I said before, that now the venue is larger to accommodate for social distancing and also with the proper PPE equipment. But as I said before, it's part of the things that we have to, now in the COVID environment, where we have to make those necessary adjustments so that we can still deliver the services and still deliver, all the things that that our residents and our people expect from us. And then, last but not least, one of the last things I want to talk about is some of the new work that we've been engaged in. And some of those things, one of those things is actually we're excited about is the executive order recently by Governor Whitmer regarding the Michigan Commission on Law Enforcement Standards. And under that, the executive director of the department was added as a commissioner. And I believe that's, and for us, it's very important, because the Michigan Commission on Law Enforcement Standards is just that. They set the standards by which the schools within the state, with the police academies within the state have to abide by, and what curriculum they need to offer, and what it takes to become a certified officer in the state of Michigan. And I think it's imperative now that as we become a part, that now that we are at the table, I believe that definitely we will have an influence on the training, on the different, like I said, on the training and the standards and all the, on the training and the standards and all those types of things. And like I said, I always like to, one of the things I like to look at our department as, we're the conscience. I like to look at us as the conscience, of the state. So, we're going to be right there at MCOs, and we're going to be sitting on their shoulder, tapping them on the shoulder. When in doubt, when certain things need to have to bring a different perspective, oftentimes when it's necessary to bring a different perspective. Also, one of the things that we're proud to announce is that we are going to be engaging in what we like to call a Civil Rights Forum series. And basically what that series is we're going to be doing monthly presentations, introducing the first will be introducing our department. And then each month we will feature a division on our department, one of the divisions within our department. That could be our enforcement division, our housing, our legal. We will be, like I said, in that way, but by doing that, one, we get to know why, we get to teach folks, and also get to explain to folks what we do, why we do it, and also why it's important to you. And so, and we feel like, especially during this time, it is necessary for us to basically to increase our involvement, and for people to get to know us, because to understand that we are a resource out there, and we are definitely something, we are a resource for everyone. And we want to definitely help everyone understand that we are here. And if you have any questions, that way, because we much rather have people come ask us questions rather than just say, well, there's nothing I can do about it. And that's one of the things we want to make sure we express by holding the Civil Rights Series. So with that, I will close, because normally I try to be brief, but we have a lot here. So, I'll close with that. If there are any questions, please, I welcome any questions.
Before we go to Mr. Bishop, do any commissioners have any questions for Mr. Lewis? No questions. Mr. Lewis, if someone wants to get in contact with you to learn about the All Pact in their area or any of the trainings that you offer, how would they go about doing that?
They could call me, or they could call me, or they could call our general number, which is our 800 number. But I would rather, like I said, if they would like information, just give me a call. And that phone number is 313-456-3740. That's the best number to reach me. Like I said, and I think that would, like I said, I would rather give the direct information, especially now that we are working remotely. It's best to contact me, or shoot me, or send me an email, and that would be at Lewis, Lewis like Sam, A like Apple, the number 4, LewisA4 @michigan.gov.
Thank you. And the series that you talked about that you're going to be doing regarding your department, are those going to be via Zoom? Are they open to the public?
Yes, they will be. Yes, they will be via our online Zoom, just in the same format that we are discussing, that we are having here today. Yes, they will be on Zoom. They will be simulcast on Facebook Live in the same concept, and they will be open to everyone. Yes.
Okay, and we'll make sure that updated schedule is posted on the department's website, so if people just check periodically, they'll see what's going on.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Graham?
Yeah, Tony, you mentioned about the discriminatory harassment, and
Yes.
those are training resources that you have. Considering what is going on right now with the pandemic and the Asian community, I thought that might be a good resource for the APA leaders. So maybe we can discuss this later. I know we had a meeting earlier this week or last week about the civil rights series, but definitely the discriminatory harassment is, it kind of got my attention in regards to that.
Okay.
Would that be appropriate for the APA leaders?
Yes, I think that, yes, it's very informative because it goes over how to recognize it. It would also, in an organization perspective, how to prevent it. But yes, it goes into recognizing it and all those types of things. Also, one last thing I forgot to mention is that we do have our hate crimes presentations, which we have been working with, which we have been partnering with the Attorney General's office and doing those presentations throughout the state.
What presentation is that? I'm sorry.
It's called a hate crimes.
Hate crimes. Okay. Got it. Okay, thank you. Any other questions for Mr. Lewis? Thank you, Mr. Lewis. Mr. Bishop?
Good evening, Chair Clayton, commissioners. I have a smaller half of the house from Tony's, but we do much of the same work. I am engaged, and Anthony Ianni, I believe he's on here tonight. Anthony is our in-house anti-bullying motivational speaker. He's been with us for the last 5 years and has presented to approximately 170,000 school children across the state in both a motivational and autism awareness perspective. He's internationally renowned, and until the COVID crisis struck, had actually been selected and designated to go to China to be part of an international program on just that subject. And we were quite honored that he would be representing not only the work that he does, but this state on such a huge stage. But again, unfortunately, with what we're facing, that did not come to pass. And I would also give him a large shout out and kudos as he was able on his private time to be able to secure a publisher to write a book, and that should be coming out, I do believe, in the late fall, early winter with Indiana Press. So he is quite a mover and shaker. With all of the changes due to COVID in the school systems, he is now reviewing a lot of the safety protocols and how we might tailor and revision his programming to fall within. Is this a return to school? Is this a blended, virtual return school or an entirely virtual school, so that he can continue to engage both the students, staff, and administrators with his very powerful message. He's 100% dedicated to this work, and like as I mentioned, he's a national leader when it comes to bringing those presentations to the kids. My other colleague is Melissa Kieswetter, and she specializes in particular as our Native American Affairs representative, and is also quite a large leader, not only in the state, but across the country. She handles all of the Michigan Indian tuition waiver applications, and I believe at your last regular meeting, I submitted her legislative report that she puts out every year about the number of Native American students that have applied, the institutions that they're going to, and how that is all progressing. She has spent the better part of almost 4 years now working with various MDE officials, community partners, and academics on assembling equitable educational materials for the civic and social studies standards process that MDE launches or has launched, as well as working with different schools around mascot and Native American imagery. And she, kind of like Marisa, is actually dual streaming because she's attending a school board meeting here momentarily to sort of sit as an observer for purposes of mascot related issues. She engages all of our colleges at the community college up through the 4-year institutions, as well as the native colleges, around, again, processing of the specific needs of the Native American community, and is an advisor for not only the department on several boards and commissions, but is also someone that the Native American community know, trust, and understand when it comes to issues that involve their communities and state government. And we certainly couldn't do our work without her expertise on a day-by-day basis. For my part, I'm known as the tinfoil hat guy. I'll put it out there. I'm your emergency operations center operative, so I attend all of the briefings surrounding the state emergency operations center that the Michigan State Police Emergency and Homeland Security Division host. So I help coordinate any issues we see for at-risk, underrepresented, or marginalized communities in any given disaster. So right now we're pushing up on 180 days of activation for COVID. We've had the floods up in the Saginaw Midland area. We've had certainly the community protests and things, but you never know when and where we'll be engaged and how civil rights will factor into getting people assistance, seeing that they're safe, and then helping communities return to more normal operations, if we can call them that, is part of the recovery process. I also handle a lot of the internal operations for public affairs generally, from reporting and the assemblage of the tools and things that we're using under the Civil Rights Information System, working directly with Renee Kenyon, who's from the enforcement side of the division, and as she spearheaded that project to upgrade our whole entire data system. So it's been a challenging time. Let's just put it that way. And I'm happy to take any questions or concerns that any of you might have. Part of what we do, all of us from Tony's side to my side, is try and connect people to resources to solve problems. So we're open for business 24/7, 365, and with the advent and everyone moving online as we are tonight, it certainly keeps us plenty busy.
Thank you, Mr. Bishop. Do any
Yes.
commissioners have questions for Mr. Bishop? No questions? Okay, well, thank you very much, Mr. Bishop.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. The next agenda item is agenda item number 8, which are division reports. And we will get an update from Executive Interim Director, Mary Engelman.
Yes, thank you. So basically, we are continuing to work 100% from home. People going in very rarely, just to mostly the admins to kind of do the mailing and so on. And so that's going very smoothly. In addition to that, I wanted to talk a little bit about the last month. We've been doing a lot working with the governor's office in regards to masks. There was an EO 2020-153 where the governor has basically announced that, post notice that businesses must post notice of requirements to wear a face mask covering that can be seen as either a face covering or a mask, enforce the face covering requirement or mask covering. Also, acknowledging that there are exceptions for medically tolerating wearing the mask, and then also that you cannot assume that a person that is not wearing a mask has a medical situation. And so that is something that we have been working with the deaf, blind, and hard of hearing, and then the division of ADA, along with some of our, with Dan and everything, to put out a press release to ensure that we are not, explaining to the public on just the different requirements so that they have some direction on that. I apologize. My daughters, I'm in the back room here, and so I don't know if you heard a little of that scuttlebutt. So it's thrown me off because they're talking very loudly. So I just kind of flung a pen at them to kind of settle down so we could continue on with this meeting. In addition, we are working on just basically, we've done that. We've also done a couple of press conferences, or not press conferences, but radio shows. Kim Woolridge did one on the ADA compliance, which was fantastic. And so we've gotten a lot of, in terms of MDCR, a lot of publicity on the requirements of the mask and how it impacts in persons with disabilities or the ADA community. So that's been wonderful. Another thing is that we are working to, in terms of, and I don't know if you've heard, but the EO 2020-7, Improving Equity in Healthcare by mandating the Department of Licensing and Regulatory Affairs establishes rules to look at implicit bias training within the health industry. And that is something that the Lieutenant Governor's task force on equity is working on, and we are actively in that as DCR. So that's been pretty good. The other thing I wanted to talk about is the budget. The budget numbers have come out, and so MDCR has been impacted as all state departments, but I wanted to also highlight that in regards to what's going on in terms of staffing internally, we are currently at a staffing shortage of, we have or 11 open positions, and I apologize because my report, this is what I found out just a couple days ago. We have 11 open positions at MDCR. We have 10 that are on leave. These are our full-time employees, and so we also have 7 that are from enforcement and 5 that are coming from other. Oh, sorry, my video just went out. And 5 that are also coming from the other division. So we are feeling this. And so we're looking forward to our new executive director here in the near future. But I will also let you know that when you're looking at our budget, it also impacted when you look at our HUD and our EEOC numbers. We are going to be short around a little under 500,000 this year. So that's going to be impacting our general funds pretty dramatically, but I think that will be okay. In regards to that, that has something to do with, we moved to a new database system, Chris. The former executive director also moved where we had 7 cases a month. That's been moved down to 5 cases a month requirements. And so all of those things have impacted us. And then of course, COVID and just the whole transition. So that's kind of correlating into about $500,000. The other thing that I wanted to let you know though, is we are completely done with our temporary layoffs on the 25th of this month. And also our community based, and I think I reported this out at the last meeting, we did actually do a letter out to the law enforcement and the Outpacks in regards to the mask and just reminding the community, the law enforcement community, that there could be unconscious bias and to be aware that we are required to wear masks and to pause because it may be because of a disability or, we don't want racial profiling happening. And so that was something else that we did send out. The governor's office was very pleased with that. And then the other last thing that I wanted to talk about was in our January meeting, and I believe it was Commissioner Roberson and Commissioner El Hassan had probably asked a few questions because you were, that was your first, you were sworn in, and that was also your first meeting regarding the migrant seasonal farm workers. And so I have given you a 7-page report on it. And I just wanted to highlight that in regards to this report, it really talks about the history of where we were and back in the 60s and where we are today in terms of the migrant seasonal farm workers, and just recognizing that the last report that we've done was in 2010. And so the commission felt that it was really important to create a new one because a lot of time has passed. The other thing that has occurred is that there's, obviously the community has changed. When you're looking at migrant seasonal farm workers, there's also now full-time farm workers that are year-round, and there's also the visas, the ones that are coming in on the H-2A, and so all of those things we need to take into consideration, and that really ties in with the enumeration study, which, by the way, even though that was put on pause this year, the governor's office and all the conversations I've had is that they want to see that enumeration study happen next year. So we will be working with them to continue to bring back all those partners that supported us. And I think that we had about 250,000 set aside for that report. So that enumeration study is going to happen. In terms of our reports, we've done two hearings, and that has really been a challenge in COVID because when you're talking about the migrant farm workers, it has to be face-to-face because there are technology issues and challenges. So we can't really do a Zoom like we can now. So those really need to be in person. And so right now, in terms of what we wanted to do for that next report, I think that we have to pause until we can figure out this new world that we're working in. And so that's basically my report. If there's any questions, Madam Chair or commissioners. I'm sorry, for some reason
No, I was muted. Thank you so much. Did you go over the new information system, Chris?
Oh, yes. Oh, I apologize. Like I said, my kids are throwing me off today and I'm in a different setting. Yes. So our database that we basically, all of our enforcement, all of MDCR uses it's an information database. It's where we house all of our complaints, all of those things. It's where we pull our reporting for HUD and EOC. That has been completed and we've been working on that since March. So we've been working out of that. Well, now, the the state is moving us to an interface, a new interface program. And what it's going to do is it's going to change the look of Chris, but it may cause some complications in regards to the behind the scenes. So right now, we're looking at that as not costing us any extra dollars because it's from the state, and the whole state's going to this interface program. But I just wanted to just let you be aware of if there are any challenges. We'll definitely let the commission know about that. So it's just going to be, the look is going to be different, but inside it should be the same.
Thank you. Any commissioners with any questions for Director Engelmann? No questions? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Our next agenda item is number 9, which is commission business, and that is the chair report. There are 2 items under the chair report. The first is the executive director selection update. Just going to give a brief overview as to where we are and go through the timeline very quickly, since this will be our last meeting until we have our special meeting. So the position was posted on July 8th, which was the date after we voted our July 7th meeting. Today at 11:59 p.m., the position will close. As of 12 noon today, HR had received 103 applications. So that plus whatever else we get in by 11:59 p.m. July 30th, Civil Service Human Resources will submit the qualified candidates to our special advisor, and then those candidates will be sent on to the full commission. August 4th is the deadline for commissioners to submit their no more than 7 selections for executive director to the special advisor. Then on August 7th, the Civil Service Human Resources will conduct background checks, mail drug screening packages to the candidates, and the special advisor will contact the references. August 19th, we will have a special commission meeting that will take place to conduct interviews and narrow the candidate pool. August 24th, a special commission meeting will take place, and the commission will select a candidate for a director. August 28th, the commission will inform the selected candidate and present a job offer. And if all goes according to plan, September 21st, a new director will begin his or her role with the Michigan Department of Civil Rights. Any questions from anyone on that update? Okay, thank you. Next is our education report, and Attorney Sylvia Elliott will give us that update.
Good evening, commissioners. As you know, I have been given the assignment to complete the education report. It's been a long time coming, but I think we're starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. I've met with the contractors. We've gone over what's in the report, what we feel needs to be in the report, or some additional updates given some things that have developed since COVID-19 and the impact that is having on our educational system. The goal is to have the final draft back from the contractors by August 11th. And my plan is to have it complete to you by the end of August, first week of September, before my retirement date. So that is the plan. Are there any questions?
Okay. No questions. Thank you, Attorney Elliott.
Thank you.
Okay. The next item is a report from Attorney General Ron Robinson.
Thank you, Madam Chair, commissioners. I've got a brief report, just an update on the American Freedom Law Center lawsuit. The judge has just issued an order extending discovery so that the parties can schedule depositions. I think primarily because the plaintiff wants to take the depositions of the interim director and possibly Dr. Arbalou, as well as a representative from the Attorney General's office. So discovery will be extended through October the 6th, at which point we'll be filing, I know I will be filing on behalf of the department a motion for summary disposition, but that's where we're at in that process. Another development is last week, as you know, most of the ethnic commissions were transferred to LEO. I forgot what that acronym stands for, but it's labor, like the labor division, economic and labor division. Well, this past week, I was reassigned to the Hispanic and Latino Commission to serve as legal counsel. So um, even though they're in Leo, I will still be serving as their legal counsel as of last week. There's some legal issues that they thought would be better handled by an attorney who does this, civil rights type work. And I'm happy to have them on board. Now that adds, there's only one commission now with Leo that I don't serve as legal counsel to, and that is the Asian American Pacific Commission. But the other commissions still fall within my jurisdiction. So I'm very happy about that. That's all I have to report. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Any commissioners have any questions for Attorney Robinson? Commissioner El-Hassan?
Yeah, just out of curiosity, is there any consideration or thought about adding any more attorneys to assist, or do you have the capacity to provide that counsel?
Well, they added one attorney, Tanya Jeter, who's been a lifesaver. Before we had this COVID, we were supposed to have a first assistant that was appointed to the section. To the division. I haven't had a first assistant. I've never had a first assistant, and I've been the division chief of the Civil Rights Division since '98. So I've never had a first assistant in that time period. They did have one that was posted, and we interviewed for a candidate, and that candidate, the reference checks did not pan out. So we are hopefully, as we gear up and we're getting involved in a lot of different stuff in terms of litigation, that they will, allow me to put a person in that position as the first assistant. That would be very, very helpful. We also have the hate crimes unit as part of our unit. The WICA, the witness wrongful incarceration unit, is part of our civil rights division, as well as the wrongful conviction unit. So we're real busy. They don't do civil rights work, so we need the attorneys that do just do basically the civil rights work and work as commission in the department to assist with some of the stuff that we're doing. So I hope that answers your question.
Yes, it does. Thank you so much.
Any other questions for Attorney Robinson? Okay. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next item under commission business are commission committee reports, and we do not have any of those. Ongoing business, we do not have any. New business, none. It's now time for Commissioner I'm sorry, Commissioner Roberson, yes.
I don't know if this is the right time, but I just wanted to ask about how we set forth the agenda. I'm wondering if we could move public comment till after we've actually discussed some things, because it seems like we do public comment first, and maybe we could also have the director's report at earlier on in the meeting, because we heard from the special reports before, or special presentations before we even heard what the director or the interim director, Mary, was going to talk about today. So I don't know if this is the appropriate time for that. I'm just putting it out there because I'd like to see if we can make some changes to the agenda and the way it flows.
Sure, and also if you recall, at the beginning of every meeting, there is an opportunity for any commissioner to adjust the agenda or anything like that. So yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Okay, so new business, we do not have any new business, and so we do have commissioner comment. Any other commissioner comments? Commissioner Graham, oh yes, Commissioner Graham.
I just want to thank Mary and Tony and Mark conducting a meeting with me, because I do represent the APA communities. So we talked about the civil rights series. We talked about opportunities to educate the APA community. Also, I mentioned about, and I'd like to thank Vicki and Mary for this too, Protecting Your Rights, the one pager that was created. And so I shared this with a APA, with the another committee. That's the best way of saying it. And they were pretty enthusiastic about it. We talked about translation, but I will talk with Vicki and Mary regarding that. So I just want to say thank you to the department team.
All right, thank you. Our final agenda item is to adjourn the meeting of the Michigan Civil Rights Commission. May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do you have a second?
Second.
It's moved by Commissioner Grimm, second by Commissioner El Hassan. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously and the meeting is adjourned.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.